Well, we'll get past the thanking of the friends and the family and the blah 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 blah. How did he ultimately decide on New England?
I want to thank the teams that were, willing to meet with me through this process to give me an opportunity to potentially lead their team. But in the end, it was clear to me and to my family and my soul that this was the place that I wanted to be. And I thank Robert and I thank the Kraft family.
And it was all part of the process going back to, he was asked later on in the press conference when we were first thinking about it, when I first got into coaching, I thought about coming back to New England and being here. So I think it's safe to say, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's what he wanted to do. That's, what's your ultimate goal? To be a head coach back in New England with the Patriots. And that's where he finally got himself. I don't think it diminishes anything that he did along the way, but this was for any team that went through the process of trying to interview him and get him to come in there after he left Tennessee even. Know now, if you didn't know then, it was not going to happen, or it was going to be for a very short amount of time until this job became available to him.
Well,
he got it.
He told Brady apparently that he wasn't going to, don't bother interviewing me, I'm taking the Patriot job, which lets you know. I heard Tara Sullivan on with Joe last night, and she was saying that the way that the statement about Mayo being fired was written, and it came out like an hour and a half after the game, that obviously they had written it before the game. They had talked to Vrabel before all of this. And they had every right to. It's not tampering. You didn't have a job, so they knew what was happening. Vrabel knew what was happening. But if you're a team that did interview him, I think that's great. If you're a team that interviewed, if you had an opportunity to interview the guy that's going to be the coach of a competing team.
I was just going to say the Jets especially. You got a chance to pick the brain of the guy you're going up against twice a year for another 3 or 4 years.
Right.
However long it is. I mean, you get some insight into the man's mind and what he may or may not do at certain times. Sure.
Yeah, and because there's people going like, why would you waste your time interviewing him? And it's like, well, it's not a waste of time. It's talking for 3 hours, and I'd keep him for every one of them. For 3 hours of talking about a guy and he could be not telling you everything, but he's telling you something. He can't just make up stuff for 3 hours. It's not Robin Williams. So you're going to get at least conceivably some insight into the mind of a guy who's going to be coaching against you twice a year.
But before we get into the what his plans are for the team, just a little bit more on how he got to this point.
When I started my coaching career, I think it was important for me to go somewhere else, to start another coaching journey. The opportunity at one point was probably presented itself to be here coaching, but I felt like it was important to forge my own path somewhere else. And
Ohio State, where you had no connections.
There's a lot of tiny, subtle little, not even shots, but just references to either ownership or the previous coach. That's a little one right there. I thought it was important to go somewhere else and start my coaching career, say, as opposed to Gerard Mayo, who never knew anything other than being a New England Patriot.
Yeah.
But you know why he would say that beyond it being a shot? He's saying, I'm different. That I'm just different. If I'm Gerard Mayo and I hear that, I'm not angry about it. He's just saying, I'm different. And he's right. I mean, somewhere the Belichick sons are saying, "What are you talking about?" Well, you just leech on your father.
Steve
and
tried. He tried.
Well, he does have a relationship with Belichick.
Having played for him and having competing against him, and then also having a friendship with Bill, right along the way, I think it's special. It's unique having played here, knowing Bill. But again, we have to focus on things that are going to help us win now, help our players, and like I said, galvanize the building and the team and our fan base.
So I'm glad he brought that up and said, look, yeah, I know him and I've talked to him and I've had these, conversations with him. But whether it's his connection to Belichick or referencing the banners and the championships that hang in the stadium, he made a point of saying it doesn't help you win any games. He said, yeah, it speaks to things that have been done here before and maybe gives you a reminder that, of what is possible, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just part of the history. That's it. That's it, and that's all. It really doesn't have anything to do much like Belichick, doesn't have much to do with what they need to do starting today.
A clear vision as to what the roster looks like and what his goals are.
Just to be a devil's advocate,
Sure.
the success that the franchise has with his ownership is part of the reason he took the job. I mean, I don't think he's taking the Jet job because he had a dream of working with Woody Johnson and all the success he's had. He has a relationship with the Crafts. There's a reason he wanted to come back here. I don't think it's the fans either.
I think from a more like tangible regard is what he meant. Like having won championships in the past has no bearing on whether you'll win this year.
No, I know how he said it. I'm just saying. I'm just picking apart what he said because this is the exercise. I mean, I know why he said it. Yeah, this is a fresh chapter. We're not relying on the past, but just to be devil's advocate, he is relying on the past. That's why he took the job.
Well, you heard him mention there, and that was from much later in the press conference, talking about galvanizing the program. Is it galvanize one of his key words of the day?
Excited to get to work, excited to meet the people in this building that have made this place special, find out what they need, find out how I can help them, how I can help them do their job better, how we can enhance the stuff that we do well, and then find out what the areas of focus are and get to work. I want to galvanize our football team. I want to galvanize this building. I want to galvanize our fans. And the most important thing are the players. There's some of them right here.
You say that enough times, it doesn't even sound like a word anymore. Galvanize. Galvanize.
Right. It sounds like someone got a thesaurus right before the game.
Yeah.
Galvanize. Is that a word? I'm going to keep saying it.
We went to Ohio State, so what do you want out of the guy?
Better than the other buzzwords from last
Rick.
year.
Oh no! Now the Ohio State people are going to be very upset.
Sorry, Bert. Sorry, Rick. My daughter's applied there. Hasn't heard back yet.
Your daughter's getting into Ohio State. I got news for you. Your daughter's very intelligent, from what you said.
Boss, I don't think Fred said anything wrong. I think you're fine. I think the station's
no,
fine.
no. Now the Knights of Columbus are going to come after us. What do you mean the Knights of Columbus? They're the Knights of Columbus, Ohio. They're all Ohio State alumni.
Them and the Kiwanis.
Oh, no.
I'm going to have Rotaries and the Optimist Club and everybody else.
Those weird Shriners are going to come by in them hats.
So you get a lot of phone calls, do you, boss, about stuff like this?
Something from Wallach.
I can't forget.
Oh, come on.
Nicholas,
we're rolling.
I have a job for you. It's too inside.
It's still good, though.
Lock it up. Make it secure.
You're rolling downhill. It's a slippery slope. Next time you're taking shots at Marquette.
Gonna enter the cone of silence.
Why even alienate that base? All right, no one knows what we're talking about.
It's still good, though.
Yeah, I did that for you, too.
Thank you.
All right. Culture. Vrabel, what do you got?
But that culture is going to be built on winning, a competitive spirit throughout our roster, throughout our players, and throughout our coaches and our staff, and the ability to put the team first and care about somebody other than yourself. I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to get to work. But everything and everyone in this building is going to understand and believe that their job is critically important for our success.
All right, good. And he also said that something interesting about team culture, it doesn't necessarily come when you're winning Super Bowls.
I want to provide a program that provides their ownership, but also their accountability of each other, and one that they'll be proud to be a part of and that they're going to fight for. You know, you guys are going to ask me questions about culture, which I'll be happy to talk about and discuss. One thing I've realized about culture is that you can find out what your culture looks like when your family, your business, or your team is at its low point.
Well,
okay,
you've come at the right time.
People are picking apart Vrabel, and they're starting to affect me. He had who's the coach of Green Bay? I just had it on the top of my tongue. LaFleur. He had LaFleur as an offensive coordinator, lost him. Had Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator and lost him. And then his team fell apart. He took over a playoff team and just kept them sort of consistent. You can you could do this probably with anyone, but he's never had to build anything. So the whole notion, again, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I'm just like you. I'm going through this whole thought process. But these are valid points. I have brought up his record with Tennessee. They were 9-7, and then he took over, and they were 9-7 with them. He went to an AFC Championship game. I understand that. And I know everyone's got all the blood is running to their penis because he outsmarted Belichick on some obscure rule during a playoff game. I get it. But he is, and we went through the exercise yesterday, is that the best offensive teams in the NFL don't have offensive head coaches. I understand all of that. But his success is extraordinarily dependent on having a great offensive coordinator.
But I think he understands that. I think he gets that. And from my point of view, and you're right about that, he's never had to build anything from the ground up. He inherited a pretty good roster. But he said everything as a Patriots fan I wanted to hear. He stepped in, and it was, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He is going to take over. There was no question. He's the guy in charge. He's working with Elliott Wolf. I honestly don't think Elliott Wolf's going to be around for a while.
I do.
I think that that guy Cowden's going to come in and ultimately take over.
I think he ultimately will, but do you trust Cowden to come in and
no?
What has he done?
No, he hasn't done anything.
No, right.
He hasn't done anything. I guess as a Patriots fan, it's a good first step forward. The difference between Gerard Mayo's introduction and Mike Vrabel's introduction was night and day.
No.
Vrabel came in and said, I'm going to do this. This is how we're going to do it. I want to work with the players. I want to make them better. Whatever I can do to help. Mayo, it was all,
Mayo didn't know what he was doing.
No, and it was painfully obvious after listening to Vrabel again yesterday and juxtaposing the two. You're right about this stuff. The future is unclear, but I liked what I heard on day one from the new guy.
No, and you're absolutely right. That's a good point. The floor, I do believe, is way well. I mean, the floor is. I mean, he's
all of a sudden everything's organized. Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
The floor is higher.
Else.
It's just that the Crafts were so hyper focused on him at the expense of everyone else.
Well, you know my feeling about that.
I know you don't like that. And then that just a lot of people are going, "This is great." Again, no one knows what they're talking about, myself included. Everyone's saying that this is great, but now I've heard people in Tennessee talk about him. Again, he inherited a good team. He kept them fairly consistent. And then when he lost his offensive coordinators and lost A.J. Brown, and people are going, well, he lost A.J. Brown. So you lost a receiver and all of a sudden your season tanks? Like, what if your number one receiver gets hurt? Like, this is the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be missing 6, 7. Look at the Lions. They're missing their whole entire defense.
True, but he walks in with his eyes open. One of the best quotes, and we don't have time to get to it, is, I don't know if we're good enough now as a team to take advantage of bad football. There's no worse self-assessment of a franchise as a head coach that you can make. He said, I just want to do that, and then we'll move forward from there. He knows he needs an offensive line. He said it in the press conference.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.